4th, 2023 meeting of the Commission on Inclusion and Innovation. So I'll call the meeting to order at 5:31. And we'll start off with a roll call, if we could start down the end.
Okay, you're just looking at me there.
There you go.
Maria Librea, Judge.
Stacy Moore.
Aparna Ganeshan.
Commissioner Tom Kosker.
Commissioner Rebecca Markowitz.
Adora Cobb.
And Ron Cox.
All right, thank you very much. So we have all but one present today. Next on the agenda, we have appointments and resignations. The only thing I have to report on this is a switch in a chair of one of our committees. Adora Cobb is stepping down as the chair of our Community Conversations Committee, and taking her spot is Commissioner Ron Cox is taking her spot as the chair of the Community Conversations Committee. So just wanted to report on that tonight, so everyone's aware. Next on the agenda, we have approval of minutes. You should have all gotten minutes for the October 26th. Oh my gosh, October 26th, that feels so long ago. Meeting with the holidays and everything, it feels so long ago. So I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion to accept the minutes?
Do I have a second?
Second.
So motion made by Commissioner Tuttle. You getting that over there? Second by Stacy. And any discussion, any comments about the minutes, any edits, any issues, questions, comments? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Was anyone not present? Who was not present? Adora was not present, so Adora would abstain, right? She was not present at that meeting, it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, just for official purposes. So motion passes, 7-0. Thank you. Next on the agenda, report from Commissioner Chair. I don't have much to report on. First of all, Happy New Year, everyone. It's great to see everyone. We've been, sort of offline for a little while, and then things got kicking up in the last couple of days as the new year has kicked in. I know we've been doing some work. We'll talk about it in a few minutes towards the end of the agenda about our priorities, commission priorities for 2023. We've had that discussion going, on behind the scenes, but it's good to see everyone. It's good to be back with you all in person and see everyone again. You should have also all gotten, in addition to the minutes for the October meeting, is our dates for 2023. So those have been entered into the town clerk's office, so we have those all set. So please plug those into your calendars. And those are our meeting dates for 2023. Those have been approved. The other thing I wanted to share to commissioners and to the public is that we've been working together, the executive committee and Camille, on getting the commission connected with the Notify Me system that the town of Rocky Hill has been implementing. So if you're not familiar with it, the Notify Me system is a system in which residents, community members can sign up to be notified of happenings for different commissions, councils, et cetera, in town. And it's an opt-in system where someone would click on a link and opt in and put their name and email, and you can sign up for email notifications and or text notifications to your cell phone. And then you'll get notified of different things that we notify the community about. So there's a link on our particular website, the Commission on Inclusion website, that you can sign up there. When you go to that link, you can also sign up for any other commissions you want as well. So you'll see there's a whole list from Parks and Rec to just all sorts of stuff on the town side. So you can sign up for those things, and then we're working behind the scenes to make sure it's happening, because this is new to us. So, I signed up myself to get notified, and we're going to make sure that works well for everyone. But that's, in the works. So that'll just be another way for community members to, be aware of what's happening with our commission. So we wanted to kind of make that easy so you can sign up for that. In addition, it's a slightly separate process where our agendas and minutes get stored. So those get stored along with the agendas and minutes for every other commission and council in town, get stored on this particular storage space that our IT professionals, keep track of. And you can also sign up to get notified when things get added to that. And I'm checking with Camille to make sure I don't say anything incorrect. But so that information will be on the website as well. We just talked about that today. We don't have that set up yet, but you'll be able to sign up to get notified. Again, commissioners, you guys get it, right? We as commissioners get those notices of agendas and minutes anyway, but this will allow the public to get that information if they want to, rather than having to dig around and look for it on the website, the town website. So just a couple ways. In addition to the fact that we do have our email, which we haven't been getting many emails, so we're happy to take emails from the public. If anyone has anything they want to share, with the commission, we have an email address that you can send things to. Questions, concerns, queries, ideas, all that good stuff. We're interested in hearing from the public. That's all I have for the commissioner chair report. Any questions? Seeing none, moving right along. Subcommittee reports. First report is from our Community Conversations Chair, which now, effective 5 minutes ago, is Commissioner Cox.
Thank you. First, Happy New Year to everyone, and to all of those who are viewing us. A Happy New Year to you all. We hope and pray that 2023 is a spectacular year for everyone. Subcommittee met on Wednesday, November 9th. Following the call to order, we took a moment to reflect upon a prayer of peace by Black Elk, who was a Lakota Sioux member of the tribe of the Sioux tribe. Being that it was North American Indian Heritage Month, we read that particular quote. It's a very interesting person. He survived the Wounded Knee Massacre. His uncle was Crazy Horse, and he was a visionary. And it was just it's one of the prayers that I love to fall back on, because it digs deep into a part of us that we may lose because we are so tied to the worldly kinds of things that sort of hold us to that. We had 3 guests, and it was exciting to hear from all 3 of those. Would you like the names, or is that?
Sure.
Okay. One was Dea Shadowfax, who I invited, and then Tom, I believe you invited the other 2, which was Via Valenti and Matthew Mastriani. And if you need spellings, I'll be happy to give you those afterward.
Thanks.
The business was really talking through the possible next steps of 2023. We had several, but I don't want to go into particular because I haven't had follow-up with everyone to verify where they are in that particular, where we talked at that time and where we are at this particular time. There are 2 that I've talked specifically with, and we know we're going forward, but I'd rather wait. And I do know that the executive committee was going to be talking to each commissioner individually, and maybe that would be a better time when that information comes out. But I thought it was a good member. We had a good group of people there. I closed with this quote: "Let's keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things, because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new and exciting paths." It was a really good meeting, and I thank everyone for their input, for their ability to be there. At this time, any questions of me or any of the members of the committee?
No questions. Everyone's good. Thank you, Commissioner Cox. And yeah, some of that ties into the work we're doing around the priorities and stuff. So that fed into, some of that work fed into the conversation that we'll have under new business. So thank you for that. All right, moving right along to our data gathering, research, and analysis, which I don't know if we need to come up with an acronym or something. We got to work on that. But
DGRA? Or
Commissioner Tuttle, take it away.
not an easy one. Okay, so looking at the meeting notes from the end of October, it looked like we were in a position where the content of the survey was near final, but we still wanted to tinker with the look and feel of the survey. And so since that last meeting, we've done that. I don't think we're going to win any design awards for the look and feel of this survey, but it's in a much better
No.
place, I'd say. Hopefully pretty user-friendly in terms of moving through it. I think we clocked it at what, between 4 and 5 minutes. So it's not a overly burdensome ask of our community members to take it. And right now it sits in kind of a Google form in which feeds the data or the results on the back end where we have visibility into, how folks are responding kind of real time and can get a picture how the results kind of evolve over time as more and more survey responses come in. So, a special thank you to the Sonic Group, in particular Danny and Sonia, who helped us along the way and got it to the finish line. Additional thank you to those who provided input, both on this commission and otherwise. I think everybody at some point or another gave some helpful contributions in terms of how to improve it. I'm sure we'll look back and have additional improvements as time goes on, but again, it's in a good place, a final place in terms of distribution. And so now it's just strategizing on how best to distribute it. I just jotted down a few things here, and there are a lot of avenues in my mind that we can go. You mentioned Notify Me. I think that's to the extent we can leverage sort of a blast email or something to that effect, where folks who have voluntarily signed up to get notices, we can reach them through that channel. I mentioned this, and Camille, I'm kind of looking at you. I'll follow up with you. In terms of placing an active link on our webpage or on the town's webpage is something I think would be helpful. I don't know how much traffic we get on our town webpage or our webpage, probably not super high. However,
We can definitely get a link posted.
yeah, so if you want to put me in touch with whoever in IT I have to work with to do that.
I can help you with that.
Perfect. That was another thought. And then, what I was thinking in terms of our fellow subcommittee was how to get hard copies out there into the community more directly in terms of connecting with community groups and organizations that we may have connections with or are looking to make connections with, to distribute by hard copy more sort of directly and personally. That'd be another channel, I think, to help increase the number of takers we have of the survey. And so, the early part of 23, I think for the data committee will be helping get our numbers up in terms of folks that have seen and taken that survey so that we have data to feed into. I know we're going to touch on it in terms of 2023 priorities, but our whole impetus for this survey was to figure out, let the town guide us in terms of what those priorities are. And so hopefully the quicker we get substantive results from the survey, the better it'll be able to feed our actions throughout the year as a commission. So we'll continue to figure out the best distribution methods along with the help of the Community Conversation Subcommittee and have a game plan shortly. Aside from the survey, any other additional
I just had
DEGRA notes?
DEGRA. No, I think it's important for everyone on the commission to take the survey. I think everybody should have an opportunity to do that so that they can then have experience and feedback. I also think, potentially as we are evolving, because we're probably going to get feedback. Right now, it's electronic. And depending on the audience and the needs of the community and everything else, we have one way of really, we are talking about hard copy, but still gathering that data and everything. I think it's important to establish, this is just kind of our first pass, and we're looking for feedback from the community. So, as people are listening to this and they get online and they look at it, I would encourage whoever does fill it out to provide feedback. And that would be my only other comment.
Yeah.
Awesome, and I think there's a spot at the end of it to add additional comments or something, right?
There is.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, there
Right,
should be
okay.
an open-ended.
Open-ended
free
spot at
form
the end, right.
box at the end if
Yep.
folks want to really.
Awesome. Any questions for our subcommittee? Maria, go ahead. Commissioner
Did
Judd?
Sonic Group give us a goal, a percentage, a return percentage that they anticipate us getting that that would be a good return?
No, I don't know that they provided sort of a watermark for what we need to hit in terms of their estimate, but I think they do have kind of expertise on what's the right number for you to really take stock in what you're receiving back. And so, I've mentioned this before, but there seems to be a lot to data science that I certainly don't know, but the Sonic Group, I think, does have that expertise and can kind of guide us as results start pouring in as to, what's valid, actionable numbers and what's not yet there. So yeah, we'll use them for that. And we have Aparna as well, who will help us take all that data and synthesize it into
A data person,
fiction.
Yep,
or data person.
absolutely.
Any other thoughts or questions? I have a couple comments or questions myself. One is, I know we talked about this a little bit offline, like a plan for distribution, right? So I was just thinking about a timeline on that, right? So time can get away on all of us and always does. So maybe we can put together a timeline of, hey, we're going to have a plan by such and such a date. And I'm not in a position to say that, but maybe you guys can put together some sort of a timeline. By this date, we'll have a plan. By this date, we'll start distributing. I know there's some plans that, some ideas that Dana has shared to get it out, and some other groups within the town that will help us distribute it and get it out electronically. So that's one thing I would ask, is just to kind of consider that as you're working on a plan in a subgroup. And we'll talk about that. Again, this is one of our main priorities for this year. It's one of our main priorities, and a number of commissioners, not just the three of you, but others have offered to say, hey, I want to help out and participate in that process. So so I think that's really great, because we've had a number of ideas, from knocking on doors to, emailing it and such. And the other thing I'll mention is accessibility, coming at it from the disability perspective, is the accessibility of the survey, which is a challenge. It's definitely not easy, but making sure that we have it, maybe not in all the different accessible formats, but certainly a language, potential to have in a different language that's not disability related, but a language option, as well as just some options for accessibility language-wise, disability-wise. And having said that, a lot of times at the beginning stages, it's, hey, if you need the accommodation, hey, if you need this in a different language, if you need this in a different format, let us know, and then we can kind of go from there. It's not something that, it'll be a work in progress, I think, is, kind of what you were suggesting anyway. So I don't think we need to have all the answers right up front, and have it in 8 million formats right up front, but just kind of keep that in mind maybe on the accessibility side.
Are you talking WCAG 2.0 AA?
You're talking
Performance?
not my language,
Yeah.
so I have no idea what you're saying right now. So
I just learned that.
You just learned. No
An
idea.
accessibility.
Yeah, I mean, there's just different, again, for people with visual impairments,
Right.
et cetera.
As
Yeah,
well, maybe
yeah.
a recorded version or something.
Yeah, there's different ways to do it. I mean, again, a lot of things are just, screen readers are just super awesome these days, and I just don't know, is the screen reader let you go through that, because you have to click now. If you're visually impaired, you can't click on things, so you just have to think. We have to think about that. That's all. And there's ways to make things accessible, and up front, it might just be, hey, if you need that accessibility, let us know, and then we
Right.
can go from
Someone
there,
can
right? And we can work with
assist.
somebody. And it might be as simple as, hey, we'll walk you through it. I mean, might have somebody walk someone through it. So there's different ways to do that, to accomplish it. So, well, thanks for you guys' work. Appreciate it. I think we're moving right along. I think it was a big first year push that you guys had, as a committee, is to get this thing pushed out, and I think it's well done, and now the next step is getting it out there, and like I said, getting some. I like the positive attitude of when they start pouring in. So I like the thought of results pouring in. I like that, and not knowing what to do with them. But thanks so much. Any other questions or comments? All right, very good. Moving on, consent agenda. I don't think we have anything on the consent agenda for tonight. Old business, I have nothing listed for old business as well. This is going to be sort of a quick meeting for everyone. On new business, again, the one point I have on here is discussion about our Commission 2023 priorities. Again, I've shared our somewhat close to final draft on priorities. It'll never be final, of course, because this is always a work in progress, I think. So I don't think anything that we're going to talk about right now or share right now is something that is locked in for the year or anything, right? So these are kind of our current ideas on what we think we might work on moving forward and moving into this year. So the process that happened is that again, Community Conversations Committee met, discussed ideas, brainstormed, talked about ideas. Others shared ideas. Some of this just percolated through things we did last year. And then the executive committee, Aparna and Rebecca and I each, met with and spoke with all the commissioners and gathered their ideas and input on what they'd like to participate in. And then we kind of put that together and kind of got it out to everyone kind of one last time, I'll say. And so I'm just going to quickly highlight kind of the 4 kind of big things that we see. And again, I know you've all seen this, but this is just for everyone else, watching at home to hear about. So the first is community survey, and this is in no particular order. This is the order they're written on my page, but community survey, again, planning the distribution of it, making a plan, a timeline, distributing it, and then compiling the results. So that's a big, project that we have in front of us this year, certainly, and to get the community input in that way. The second is, another one of our Walk a Mile in My Shoes event, which we had our inaugural one last year, and it was a great success and a great first event for the commission, and was very well received by folks that were there. So, that kind of rose to the top as people wanting to run that again. So I think, I see that happening again. Another is this idea of something like a community inclusion fair, and it's not really fleshed out what it'll look like, but people have shown interest in that. It might include partnerships with businesses and outreach to businesses in town, outreach to other groups, other community groups, a variety of things, right? It could be a lot of different, I won't name names of agencies and groups, but there's different groups in town that we can reach out to and community groups to that end, to our goal of including everyone in our community. So some sort of a group around that. Again, no date set, no plan set. It's more an idea that will develop as a group of people get together and work on it. The fourth area is kind of outreach to youth and students. Again, a number of little separate ideas kind of were floated that kind of can maybe congeal in a group that works on that as an area, but spreading the message of inclusion, right? Our commission is on inclusion and innovation, but spreading that message of inclusion to the youth in our community. And there's different ways to do that, right? And we've talked about some different ways to do that. So outreach to elementary, to middle and high school. But again, that'll require some further development of the ideas. So as I've said to you before, if you're interested in any one of these or multiple of these, let me know. We'll get names on these underneath each of these kind of areas, and then we'll start setting up some work groups is kind of the idea I'm thinking. Like some of the work might happen in a committee that's already existing. Obviously, the data gathering will work on the survey group, but if there's others that want to work on a work group, it's kind of doesn't just have to be the committee, right? It can be outside of that. Same thing with community conversations. Well, some of this work has been done there, right? The Walk a Mile in My Shoes has been done there, but maybe we set up a separate kind of group that's going to work on the Walk a Mile in My Shoes, for instance. And it might be a subgroup of people on the committee, and it might be someone from outside of the committee that can work on those things. So that's kind of what we have in mind. So again, as time goes along over the coming days and weeks, let us know. I say us, the executive committee, know which ones you want your name under. And some of you have already let me know. But it doesn't hurt to tell us again, so I get the names right. And then we'll start having these little subcommittees or work groups created. Commissioner Moore.
So will there be additional training for outreach, in a community setting? Because I really feel like there, in a school setting or a youth setting, that requires a certain amount of tact and education and knowledge and how to distribute. So.
Agreed. I think with different parts of this, whether it's that one or the fair, or even the
Yeah.
survey,
Yeah,
and any
any
of
of
these things, I think might require certain skill sets
Sure.
that we may or may not have
Right.
on this commission. Either any of
Knowledge.
us or all of us, right? Or knowledge about that. I think some of it will be in the planning of these activities, thinking about who we're going to partner with to get that done, right?
Okay.
So some of that, using the youth as an example, right?
Yeah.
They have things in place, right?
Schools
The Board of
have
Education, the schools,
Right.
they have many things in place
Right.
around inclusion, or they have a DEI. They do a lot of this work
Right.
internally already. They have a lot of those things going on.
Right.
We would maybe partner with them. Again, this would be part of the conversations that the
Sure.
group has, is like, how does this group work with, in collaboration with some of these other groups that exist to do that work, right? Even the fair. I mean, the fair came out of an idea that, how Health and Human Services in the school district came together and did that fair last year, right? The Pride Fair. That's kind of where that started, that idea that fair started. And it also started because I was thinking about the Fall Fest a number of years ago and that idea, some community event. So there will be groups that we partner with in that.
Okay.
I think about, I remember one of the ideas, thinking about training or something, right? Some expertise on it is, distributing surveys. So from the Sonic Group, we can get that, but like, you go door knocking, like there's a skill at that, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, I can knock on doors and I can talk to people, but like getting them to, agree to do a survey and not think I'm some creep knocking on their door,
Right.
There's some skill to that and some training that might be required. So as that happens and as the planning stages of this happen, that's why I'm thinking the plans for each of these things are important, that we get jump on those soon. Because as those plans develop, we can say, hey, here's what we need. Here's what we think we need. We need this sort of training or expertise, consultation, collaboration, this sort of money, right? So some of these there's going to be money associated with this, with some of these things. And then you could say, hey, here's a budget that we might need $5 for this and $50 for this to make this happen on any of these, right?
Right.
So as those little groups work together, but I appreciate that comment because I think that's important to realize, like, we have a certain amount of knowledge and skills and expertise here, and there's stuff we don't. So we'll reach out, right, to our community.
Yeah, I think maybe we could turn to, because Dana's organized a lot of our training, that we could talk about possibly doing specific training for talking to youth, because I understand that, because it's not just about understanding the skills, just sometimes talking to kids is hard. And people make whole careers around that because it's a difficult
Right.
thing to do. So maybe just talking to some experts, even if it's just within the town, I think is what we're maybe looking at. Just a small talk before we go into it.
Yeah, we'll be partnering with people.
Yep.
Any other thoughts? Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Mr. Tuttle.
And Attorney McGee, not to put you on the spot here, but does the town have sort of project management tools that it leverages when putting together? I'm just thinking from an HR perspective, is there templates or formats that the town leverages to, execute on a plan in terms of event planning or things like that we could?
We do have access to that, depending on which one of these items we're talking about. We would
Yeah.
we'd have a set of resources we could look at to help you with that. Yeah,
Because, I just think project management is a skill in of itself.
100%.
And so, and it's challenging if you don't do it on a daily basis. And so just having those tools for the commissioners to kind of lean on, I think would be
100%.
a great start.
Yeah, and I want to echo what our chairperson has said. One of the most efficient ways for you to, number one, get to your end goal, but not have to become a subject matter expert, because you're busy people, you're phenomenal, you contribute so much, you volunteer so much, but one of the ways for you to get your work done and not have to spend hours becoming a subject matter expert is to indeed lean on the experts who already exist. The school system, I've had the privilege of actually observing one of their DEI training events, and the people that they invited, actually the difficult conversations, you may recall, experts who came to the school to do this work with the instructors, phenomenal people. So I would encourage us to really take advantage and leverage the expertise of people who already exist, make sure we have similar goals, and partnering with them, we can get the work done faster, essentially, without
And some of the
having
work
to
might be it's being done. Some of the
Yeah,
work is being done. We just need to
100%.
kind of jump on board almost with them, right?
Yes.
And just kind of say, hey, here's our angle on it, and here's how we think we can help and contribute, right? So
Right. That's right.
That's awesome.
Don't
And we have-
no reinventing the
Yeah,
wheel.
yeah. And again, we're all volunteers, right? So yeah, there's only a certain amount of time in the day. And, not to put a partner on the spot, but she's got, project management expertise, certainly. So I think there's, within our ranks, we have some, but there's certainly areas that we're definitely going to need that, So good thoughts to both of you. Anyone else? Thoughts on these? Because this is, again, not that this is locked in stone. It's not. This is, we kind of came up with this through our discussions and conversations and input of all of us. As, Stacy and Kevin said, we're going to be getting input from the community, right? And that's the plan, is to get the input from the community. That's the goal, right? Is to get the input from the community, and that will help guide us. So,
Right.
as this year moves along, and if we get that flood of, stuff pouring in that Commissioner Tull's looking for. And then, we'll start to get that input and say, okay, maybe here's a shift we need to make, right? We may need to kind of change gears or shift lanes or kind of think of, here's an area we didn't really think was an issue that it might be. Maybe we need to focus some efforts there. So again, it's
I
a plan
appreciate
to
that.
it's a plan to move forward with for now, and we'll move forward with it, and we'll change as we need to. So again, I'll just ask that get back to us. I say us, the executive committee, on which things you want to participate on and be active participants on, right? So there's going to be requirement of some additional, again, a lot of time the work on these commissions happens in between the commission meetings, right? And then we discuss and report on it at the commission meetings, but some of that work happens in the work groups, the subcommittees. So if you want to be part of that, are willing to put some time in on it, let us know. And again, you have let me know already, but I'll circle back with you on that. And we'll get those things cranking. So,
Beautiful.
Any other thoughts or comments? All right. Now, next on our agenda is time for public comment. So we have one member of the public present today. So I will open the floor if the one member of the public present would like to comment. He's kidding. That was a fake. He faked us out. So, seeing no other public present, any other final closing thoughts or comments? And this will be record time, 31 minutes. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Cox,
Second.
second by Commissioner Moore. All in favor?